So let's get into our big stories right now. We have our guests, one in studio and some on Zoom. But we are focusing on the former Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, because he's declared confidence, touting some 60 members of Parliament who support him. That is from the minority side of Parliament, of course. But he faces some backlash from rival competitors in the race for the NPP presidential candidate, who say using members of Parliament is just a propaganda tool. This is coming just days after the party proposed in an early flag bearer election in January 2026. Is there a looming party crisis or routine that is bringing all these things to bear? Let's hear from our guests. Joining us via Zoom, in studio first, we have Dr. Tia Kabiru Mahama. He's Member of Parliament for Wale Wale. And joining us on phone, we have Dr. Kwesi Amachi-Boateng. He's a Senior Lecturer, Department of History and Political Science. Dr. Mahama, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sweetie.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
But I want to start from Zoom and speak to Dr. Amachi-Boateng first. Dr. Amachi-Boateng, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. I'm sure some of the news articles flying around on this particular topic has caught your attention. How do you react to this initially before we get to the meat of the matter?
Thanks for the opportunity, and let me say good morning to your viewers and listeners. I've already made some remarks to the effect that the NPP has been in crisis for a while now, and they don't appear to be coming out. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. So let me just build on this. The crisis has been there simply because of the fact that they have neglected the provisions in their own constitution and gone about so many things which simply were, unconstitutional. It started with the sacking of Polapoko and Kwame Japan, and then the center of power in the party. And clearly, lawyers in the party have come out openly to suggest that the center of power, authoritative decisions in the party are, center on the party chair at all times, whether they have a flag bearer, whether they have a sitting president, that is what their constitution stipulates. And to the extent that do otherwise, that indicates confusion. Following massive law, in the last, you would have said that structure themselves by their constitution.
Actually, Doc, some argue that that's the whole purpose of this, to restructure and unite the entire party behind one flag bearer 2 clear years before the election 2028. That's the strategy. If you listen to some of them, like Kofi Tonto, who said it yesterday.
Is really problematic. Why do you begin from the top? Why do you begin from the top? How do you put together the register for the election? Because if together register, you begin structure the grass. It means you begin structure from the grass. That will come after a review of the constitution. Identify with the current constitution, which has brought this far.
Dr. Amachi-Boateng, we are losing a chunk of your submission, so our technical team will try and reconnect you. I think it's just a problem with the connection. Meanwhile, let's come back in studio and get your initial reactions right now. But before even zooming into what Dr. Bawumia has been saying, it looks like he's not the only one who is touting confidence. We've heard that there's some 289 people who candidate Japan, MMCEs, who he's also assembled. So it's not only Dr. Bawumia, but he's the one who's saying he's confident. But initial reactions, Dr. Mama.
Well, so good morning to you, Sweetie, and good morning to Samuel, and then good morning to the good people for Wale Wale. The Republicans saying that Mina Akoba few are chosen. In race and context of this nature, you expect everyone to, express confidence that he or she is going to win, even when Akua Donkor of blessed memory was in the race for becoming the president of the Republic of Ghana. She expressed similar confidence that she was going to win. So people expressing confidence.
So did the NPP in the lead up to election.
That's so did the NDC in the lead up to 2016 election. So every political party, will have that particular confidence. But the reality is when you get yourself, you are bootlace, and you now go to the field, that is where the reality will then set in. But you can, as an objective and independent buyer, you can really tell that looking at the wave, looking at the soul and spirit of the party, there is no doubt in any objective mind that the party and the grassroots, the crème de la crème of the party, is actually yearning for a certain candidate. And that is demonstrated by the sheer numbers of people who are representing various constituencies and their affinity and belief in same. And I think that the call by the members of parliament to Dr. Bawumia is not just their own call, it's a call of the people they represent. The people they represent feel stronger that the candidature of Dr. Bawumia still is the most potent tool to gain his power in 2028. So for me, it is not for their own sake, it is not for Dr. Bawumia's own sake, it's for the revival of the NPP and for the NPP having the capacity to wrestle power from the NDC in 2028. And that clearly, for me, is a duty that you like him or not, and you listen. Sometimes it's not even the very best of you who will be given the opportunity, but the one who is able to, represent the identity of the party, someone who is able to have the faith and belief of the Ghanaian people that given opportunity, the person will have something valuable and insightful to contribute to the development of Ghana. And then given the opportunity, that person will lead us as a whole, a country without, division. So I believe that Dr. Bawumia's call is a good call, and then we have no option but just to support the call because it is for the soul of the NPP, it is for the soul of the country, it's for the confidence that the Ghanaian people would have in an alternative government. Okay.
How do you respond to people who say this early election that you're planning to have, is there a strategy to keep the current executives, some of the current executives in place? Because if you were to go for elections to elect executives before the flag bearers, some of them or most of them would lose their seats.
At the end of the day, those executives will go for elections. Those executives are not the executives who are going to send us to the elections, right? So the argument that either top-down or bottom-up is neither here or there. Look, the party constitution clearly says that you must have your flag bearer of the party at least 2 clear years to the elections.
So you're not doing anything contrary to...
We are not doing anything contrary to the constitution. If someone draws our attention to the constitution, sometimes I just beg of those people to, point to the provision of the constitution that has been violated.
Actually, on that point, let's go back to Dr. Amachi Boateng, because he was making the point that it's a bottom-up approach and it doesn't serve you well. Doctor, hopefully we've restored your connection. Please continue your submission on how you think the NPP's new election dates for the primaries, is a bottom-up approach. Dr. Amachi Boateng. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good. The date appears pressure simply because we don't know when the other processes will come to an end. And then contestants for the bearers could start their own campaign. I hear that the delegate issue will come to an end somewhere in December. Mm-hmm. And if indeed that is the case, then we realize that the whole thing appears to be rushed.
But, Dr. Mahama is just saying now, Dr. Amachi Boateng, Dr. Mahama is just saying now that they're not doing anything contrary to what their constitution stipulates.
I hope that is so. The whole aspect of, starting from the top, I like to believe does not necessarily come from the Constitution. And then I personally believe that given what has happened to the party, the problem must necessarily come from the Constitution. That there are certain things, provisions in the Constitution that have not, allowed the party to come out as effective and efficient, especially when they were in government. Given that, you want to revisit your Constitution and address those issues. Put the Constitution out, let the rank and file accept it. And if indeed the elites in the party could come to some sort of compromise on those revealed provisions in the Constitution, then they will be acting to provide stability, but in the absence of that, everything appears to be done favor some, particular individuals in the party.
Okay.
If they are getting the delegates at the end of December, and you have January, the end of January, go election, the time there.
Dr. Machi-Boateng, I have to let you go at this point because we still can't hear you clearly. We'll try again, but hopefully when you come back, then that's that. Kojo Brace spoke to some people yesterday. Yeah. Let's get that.
On Top Story yesterday, we spoke to Dr. Mwakukisi, who is an aide to a hopeful of the flag bearership, Brian Achampon. Also spoke to Dr. Stephen Amwa. He is part of the Ken Ejapon campaign. And after we spoke to those two people, we found out from the party what are they doing to rein in people so that you can keep the party structure running. And we spoke to the Deputy General Secretary, Haruna Mohammed. Okay. So we'll listen to all of the three people that we spoke to yesterday on Top Story.
I think just recently there was a NEC meeting which, as it is, put out a date for the presidential elections or primaries. Though we had reservations, I think during the meeting it was made known. Subsequent to that, we think that once the party has set a date, we'll work within that. However, we are of the opinion that strengthening the base and doing it from a down-up approach would have been in the interest of a stronger...
Okay.
Because we were of the opinion that the 9th parliamentarians will not, in the interest of the party, make a declaration of such because of what we are hoping to achieve for the greater party. So I must admit that, this noise, or as it is, statement of declaration is shocking for me or surprising because in my discussions with their leadership, at some point, it was very clear in my mind that the 9th parliamentarians will not, as it is, make a declaration. Because in the interest of the party, the greater party, we were of the opinion that the 9th parliamentarians will conduct themselves, not necessarily neutral, but will not go public.
They don't necessarily go there because they support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. That is not true. I think there were some MPs who did not go. That I believe they also support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. You see, this is internal election. Let's stop the propaganda and focus on issues that will actually illustrate who has the support at the base. The same day, today, over 260 former MDCs and DCs, all of them came and met Honorable Ken Ejapon today. I can tell you about 90% of such a large number support.
But you are casting doubt over someone's number, but you want people to believe your number you're putting out?
Oh, they will send the pictures. We have their names. They wrote their names and their numbers. We can send to you.
Good evening, Kodo, Bruce. And good evening to your cherished listeners. And I don't know those on the panel for this particular discussion. I say good evening to all of them. The party has issued a statement indicating a decision that was made by the National Council per a motion that was moved and adopted by Council for presidential primaries to be done. In every presidential primaries or any parliamentary primaries or any elections in the party, we come out with the rules of the game, the elections that is being conducted. And it's very indicative that...
All right, so those were the people whom we spoke to on Tom Story yesterday when the issue broke. But we still have Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng on the line. Okay, but let's come into the studio and bring in. You were having he was answering a question when you went on the phone lines. Yes, let him continue. About
the Constitution gives you the backing to do your elections and elect a flag bearer 2 clear years before we go to the polls. When you're done with that submission, I'd like you to expatiate for us exactly what is boosting your confidence in the same flag bearer who led you to that massive loss you faced in the 2024 election. Although he went as a, running mate. But this is the same man that you're vouching for.
So like I said, the Constitution, clearly, the NPP will not do anything that is outside of the law guiding the entity, the association, and the political party, the New Patriotic Party. Will not do anything that would probably let people have doubt as to the process, because procedural propriety is as much important as a substantive propriety. And the NPP is clearly within the Constitution. And the timing of when National Congress should be had to elect presidential candidate is determined by NEC. Whereas other decisions are taken by Congress, and of course the party has already announced that in July we'll be having the National Delegates Conference, where we will determine other matters that are exclusively within the purview of Congress. But those that are within the remit of NEC were those that were determined, i.e. the date for the organization or for the conduct of presidential primaries for the New Patriotic Party. So anyone, you may not be okay that for the first time the NPP is starting from the top to down, instead of them starting from polling station executive to constituency executive to regional elections. But a party in power and a party out of power, the Constitution has different provisions dealing with that. We cannot use a situation where we are in power, because when we are in power, they don't want to destabilize the stability of the party. So you see them organizing sometimes 8 months to election parliamentary primaries. You see them organizing 1 year. In fact, they say that you should not organize it more than 1 year to election for presidential primaries. So you see that when we have a government in power, the NPP has a government in power, any presidential candidate we cannot elect any presidential candidate unless sometime in December or sometime 1 month to the elections. So that is the reason why sometimes there are differences and people may not be okay.
It says 11 months to the election.
Yes, so that is what accounts for the difference. But if we are not in power, 2 clear months to elections.
Yes, you mean?
Yes, is what we need. Now, on the issue of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia candidature and why we should still have faith, first and foremost, the New Patriotic Party performed so badly in the last election. And anyone observing cannot say it was the fault of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. You cannot say it was the fault of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It was a collective responsibility of the New Patriotic Party, our failure to address certain demands of the Ghanaian people, and their apathy that was devolved thereof. Okay, it has nothing to do with the personality of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Otherwise, the same argument were being advanced by people who were not supporting Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2016. In fact, by no less a person by Mr. Alan Chairman saying that why do you go to an election with someone who lost terribly in the last elections, right? After that was his second time of losing to the NDC. The same argument. So it's a cycle that any opponent would want to use to jettison a certain candidate. But if you look at the voting pattern and you look at what happened, it is the apathy of the Ghanaian people, the Ghanaian people not being okay with certain development in the NPP government were the major determinants of...
Now, good point there. Yeah. Let's pause here for a bit. You said that it's because of what the NPP...
I'll let you ask you a question, but we're educating people. According to your constitution, when the party is in government, the election of a presidential candidate shall be held not later than 11 months before the national general election. So that's just to clarify that point.
Okay, that was the point I made with, within a year or a year to the elections.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So you said that it's because of the failure of the NPP government to meet Ghanaians at the point of their needs. But the NPP government had a leadership. We had the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and we had a vice president for 8 years. This man was a vice president. And that was what gave you the confidence that he would do a good job or a better job even than former President Akufo-Addo, which is why you took him to lead you into the elections, but he failed. So if you say there's no reason why anyone can say Bawumia is a reason why you failed, I still need some clarity on that.
So one, every single member of the NPP had a role to play to ensuring that the NPP governed well. Every single member, right from the president to the messenger in the NPP. And it will be cowardice. It will be run away from responsibility if any member of the NPP so decide to say that I'm exonerating myself of blame because my party performed so badly. And that you are now looking for one single person to heap the blame on. That is any person behaving that way is not even qualified to be a member of the NPP to start with. Because you are in an entity, you all take responsibility for whatever the entity, whatever transpired in the entity. That's the first step. Of course, those with the responsibility as head will take ultimate responsibility. Okay? And if there's any ultimate responsibility for anyone to take, it is not Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
So who? Akufo-Addo?
Of course, he was the alpha and omega because he was the president. Get the point. I'm saying that every single member of the government would have to take responsibility. But if there is ultimate responsibility to take, then it's the head of the entity.
Is this a case that
it is not to suggest that Nana Akufo-Addo do so bad and that he has failed Ghana? That's not the suggestions. What I'm suggesting is that if there is any dissatisfaction, either rightly or wrongly so, someone has to take responsibility. Then the head of that institution is the one to take responsibility.
I listened to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the lead up to the election, where he said, I think it was one of the things, you were launching something, with a campaign or so.
And he said,
yes, and he said that he cannot take himself, I'm not quoting him, I'm paraphrasing the meaning I got from what he said. He cannot take himself out of the things that this administration, their governments did. Every decision that was taken unanimously. He may not agree, but once the government took that decision, it is government. So you cannot say that you're laying the blame on the doors of former President Akufo-Addo. It sounds as if you are inculpating him so that he carries the blame because you know he can't come back. Dr. Mahama.
Sweetie, this is not what I said. This is not what I said. And what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said is exactly what I have said. What he said is exactly what I've said, that every single member of the NPP, including Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, takes responsibility for the abysmal performance of the NPP in the last elections, including myself.
So why don't you try somebody else?
That everyone in the NPP takes responsibility. Then someone from the NPP must rise up to the occasion, correct the wrongs, and then exonerate the NPP so that the sense of, if you like, the sense of disappointment of the Ghanaian people towards the NPP. It's only an NPP member who can do that.
But he was part of the sense of disappointment that Ghanaians experienced.
The rest of the candidates were part.
Yeah.
All right. So if you say, then you then say that we should close the entity NPP. But remember, the NDC had the same bad performance in 2016 elections. Okay. All sort of things were said about John Dramani Mahama. People said he could not even ever come back to power. But this is the same man who came back and won by a margin, a record margin that has never happened in the history of the country.
According to you, is because your party, your government did not meet us at the point of our needs.
That is one, exactly. And that the people then found the National Democratic Congress as an alternative to the NPP. Okay. So if the NPP should come with a leader, with clarity of mind, with very good vision, with the track record of doing something that if he's given opportunity, he might do better. That person coming would probably put the NPP in a good position to win power.
Have you conducted any research to, indicate that Bawumia is the best fit to lead the party for the next election?
Well, you guys are also good at doing this opinion poll. Go to the street. sample any term.
No, I mean, among yourselves. Among
we have done that.
If
if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had come to the determination that he's not a best fit for the NPP at the moment, mindful of the fact that he's mindful of the existence of the New Patriots, mindful of the fact that he puts the NPP party, Ghana, before his personal interest, mindful of the fact that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's ultimate goal is to ensure that NPP is in government and working to the good of the Ghanaian people, he would not have presented himself for this particular post.
Well, but in 1992, Professor Albert Tudu-Buahene led your party and secured 1,204,764, representing 30.29%. That's 1992. 96, he was dropped. Why do you think after your leader had gone to, get that performance, is a 41-point-something%, he's still worthy to be presented again as a flag bearer of the party?
So if you want to, probably you read the whole statistics. Maybe 1996, come to 2000, come to 2004, come to 2008, before you can come to that conclusion. But if you stop at 1996, where Nana Akufo-Addo, Professor Tudu-Buahene was competing with His Excellency John Ajokun Kufuor, who started this particular race, and these were people who have known, who have been in this particular contest for even before 1996, before democratic era. Tudu-Buahene has been in the picture. Right? So it will not be fair to stop at 1992 elections, where it was even declared as even a stolen verdict, where the NPP, in their own estimation, felt that the 1992 election was a stolen verdict. So it has nothing to do with the performance of Tudu-Buahene in that particular contest. Okay. Because in the mind of every NPP supporter, the 1992 election was a stolen verdict. Okay. So how do you then want to attribute it to the fact that it was his performance, that was why he was dropped? He wasn't dropped because of his performance. Okay. Because at that time, old age had caught up with Tudu-Buahene. They needed someone who could represent the aspiration of the people. If we come to that point, and the good people of Ghana or the NPP people think that Bawumia is not that particular candidate, they will change him. Okay. But for now, under the circumstances, he is the best fit for the job. And the same statistics, we can mention the same statistics. That's what I'm saying, that if we want to follow the trajectory, you realize that no candidate of the New Patriotic Party in his first attempt has made it to there. In fact, no president in Ghana except Jerry Rawlings. Okay, so it is not... So is that the advantage Bawumia has over Kennedy Japan? Because if it's a numbers game, you say several MPs, they say over 200 MMDCs also are supporting him. So is it because it's a first time and you want to win the next election? Well, so you rather not risk it in the first place, not to diminish the role of only MMDC. MMDCs, even some of them came out and were granted media that they cannot support someone who had constantly bastardized them. Some of them had mentioned that, but after Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia meeting, I have not heard any of the over 60 MPs making a statement contrary. Two, as a representative of the people of Wale Wale, as a member of parliament for Wale Wale, there were people who voted for me. If I take a decision that is contrary to what they want, I will not secure a mandate again. If I take a decision in supporting the presidential primaries, in supporting a candidate who is not reflective of their wishes and aspirations, I cannot have their mandate again. So those over 60 MPs are mindful of this, that any decision we are going to take, we are looking at the situation in our constituencies, looking at what the people want, and doing anything that will please what they want.
If you've not conducted a poll, how do you know what the people want?
Who says we've not conducted the poll?
If you've conducted a research.
You said we should do it.
I didn't say you should do it. I said that you have. And I said that if Bawumia had not done it and had not come to the conclusion, he would not have presented himself.
But it's not something you will share with us.
That's what I'm saying, that it is something, even there are public, if you listen to even your famous Musa Dankwap latest research, it's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is still the favorite of the people. Okay, I'm not even going to use our own research. I'm just giving you research of people independent of the MP, because you can say that we did our own research. Why should we have trust? And that was why I was referring to your own conduct, that you should go to the street, ask any MPP supporters. They may probably help us. Okay, so then there's clarity in the mind of the NPP that under the circumstances, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the best candidate. Maybe tomorrow he might not be, maybe tomorrow next some other person will come. But under the current circumstances of the New Patriotic Party, if we ever want to wrestle power from the National Democratic Congress, we have no option than to present Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
But it's not troubling for the Bawumia camp that a lot of people are saying the rules are being bent just to favor your camp?
If you make such an allegation or accusation without pointing to one specific rule that has been bent to support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
That by convention, you start from your polling stations, elect them, elect the electoral area coordinators, you come to the constituency, regional, national, before the flag. By this time, you've decided that you're doing it top-down.
I'm saying that the top-down was a decision taken at NEC.
Yes,
a motion was moved by John Ntimfojo, not even one single member. In fact, with the exception of one, that is the treasurer. About 99% of the members supported it. So who is bending rule?
So,
are you then saying that the NEC, which is the composition of a body, which is cut across every, in fact, including some of the aspirants who were there, are they telling me that when they moved the motion, they were against it? No. So you cannot sit down and a decision taken, then you then come out and you are crying foul. Every single member, as the exception of one, and that's what it is, like 99.9999%, said they were in favor of early Congress and they were in favor of the presidential primaries coming first. Okay. There were other people who were still thinking that, well, looking at time, we can also do polling station or executive elections and come and do presidential election because we are mindful of the time. We are mindful of the constitutional time. And sometimes you realize some people give a different date. It was like December, and some said, okay, January, because they were all looking at the timing. Because if you get the time wrong, you will be breaching the constitution. So no person bent any rule to favor Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The same thing happened when Dr. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was the candidate. The popular support around him, people misconstrued that to mean that he was bending the rules to favor himself. But you see, when you have the party supporting you, when you have the grassroots of the party supporting you, when the energy with which and the power with which your campaign is going, people who are underdogs will have reasons to complain. Just like we were doing in the last election, they said, oh, we are using executive power, that people were whipped. We are in opposition. No single member of the parliament has been whipped.
Okay. Dr. Mahama, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is not the only name out there. So first advantage, like you said, is that nobody has ever won an election as a first-timer. So that's his added advantage. That's his unique selling proposition. Yeah. What else does he have over, say, Kennedy Japan, Brian Achampong, and the other names that are coming? Well, what does he have over them? What makes him a better choice? So do a comparative analysis.
If I have to do comparative analysis, then we have to be doing some matrix of all them, because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia may be sharing certain qualities with another person where another person may not have it. Like so what I would extol is the virtues, the qualities of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because I will have to compare with probably Adanimo. I have to compare with Brian.
No, but has Adanimo declared intention?
I mean, for yesterday, I have got news that he has hinted his intention.
Okay.
Brian Achampong, a fine gentleman. Mr. Kennedy Ajapong, Mr.
Kwabena
Ajapong, if he's coming. You see, so it will be difficult to say that he has it over this person is having. But what I do know is that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has got gifted and hard-earned talent, which is a prerequisite for the development of the country, which he intends to unleash. Every candidate contesting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia cannot dispute this fact. That when it comes to the technical expertise, technical know-how to transform in terms of thinking through the box and outside the box of a life-changing intervention that can change the fortunes of the country, he has one. And that given the right political power and control, he can unleash the development potentials of this country.
These qualities, when we needed it the most.
That is one. That is one. We have already explained and litigated same on this particular platform that the executive governance system makes it difficult for any vice president, not just Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And as a matter of fact, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was even gracious enough to allow Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia lead certain things and change the fortunes of the country. But the executive nature of power makes it difficult for any vice president to take his own initiative, implement the initiative, and take responsibility and credit for same. Right? So this is why we are saying that Dr. Bawumia was not clothed with the executive power to take decisions and take responsibility for same. When Ghanaian people, by the grace of God, give him that opportunity, he's going to do that. 2, a leader, for me, I believe that one of the most important cardinal, in fact, is an essential requirement of a leader is emotional intelligence. In most difficult times, the character of a leader speaks to the ability of the leader to rally people through in terms of difficulty. If you don't have good emotional intelligence, they are giving you the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces that if you don't take time, sitting on radio saying something that angers you will make you order the military to go and take the person out. Because you have in your powers, on your fingertips, certain powers that the ordinary Ghanaian don't have it. If you don't know how to manage that power, it is something that is going to be terrible for the country. So I think that it is not just going to the polls to elect a leader, but someone you know that you can go and sleep, that any dissent will have expression within the constitutional walls of the country. That is what Dr. Bawumia comes with. Dr. Bawumia comes in as someone who can, bridge the divide that maybe, actually, Ghana has done relatively well in that particular regard that irrespective of where you come from, we come from different places, but we sit down on national TV and discuss national issues. We come from different ethnicity, different religion, but our commonness of purpose, Dr. Bawumia is someone who can codify, who can solidify, who can crystallize this particular commonness of purpose of Ghanaian people. 6
months to January 1st, 2026, which is the date you set for the primaries. If you come out of that and Dr. Bawumia doesn't emerge winner, how do you react to that?
There is no need to plan on the remote impossibility of an option. Okay, there's no need to plan on it. But that said, we are going into that particular context. Dr. Bawumia is going into that context, knowing very well that the ultimate decision to determine who leads the party are the members of the New Patriotic Party. Actually, we want to bring our audience in on this conversation. Yeah. And so we want to open the phone lines for them to call us and ask their questions. Keep it short. Don't listen to us on the TV set. Listen to us on the mobile phone. The phone numbers are on your line on the screen: 0302-211-691. So call us and join the conversation. This is the Have Your Say segment. Go ahead. Yeah. So mindful of that, the outcome of the election is a statement. Just like he did. For the first time, a candidate losing an election without dragging the matter forward, looking at the data, came out to concede. It is difficult to do that. But because of how sportive he is, he's a sportsman. That's the reason why he came out early to say that, look, looking at data, I've done the analysis, we have had our data, and it's clear that we have lost the elections. He didn't go inciting violence. The same thing that he would do should the impossible happen. Okay. Dr. Bawumia would again come out and support any candidate who is so elected. And so is the expectation of Dr. Bawumia that any candidate who loses this particular election or primary should also come on board support. Anyway, when we come back, we'll have a caller. But when you come back, you answer the same question about people accusing Dr. Bawumia of conceding too early. That's what affected several of your seats. We have Albert, I believe. Exactly. Good morning. You're live on the AM show.
Good morning.
So what's boggling your mind? Tell us.
Yeah, I just want to say something about the race to the NPP flag. Yeah, I'm a member of the party as well, and I think that at this moment, Bawumia is the only candidate that can lead 2023. Fact is that he's marketed, and as you know, there's nobody who has won any election for the flag going for the first time. So it will be with money if you try any other candidate. Of course, they can all come and try, but I think Bawumia has marketed himself very well. We all know that he won the election not because of his own doing.
All right.
But, yeah.
Thank you for calling and adding your voice to the conversation. Let me quickly pick another call from Pandai, and then we come back into the studio. Good morning. Tell us your name and go straight to your question. Hello, Mr. from Bandai. What's your name? All right, let's move on. Kojo, you wanted to
So how do you answer that question?
Yes,
because you said he came out to declare because he saw the records. But some of your party members who are against him now say he did it too early. That's why they couldn't hold
so
on to
those people who said that are looking from the party perspective, not the national perspective.
Okay.
And he was running to become the president of the Republic of Ghana.
But it's the same party that he wants to become a flag bearer of.
But you are coming in to represent the good people of Ghana. You don't destroy the entity. If Ghana doesn't exist, NPP will not exist. Simplistic. So NPP's own survival depends on what he did. NPP as an entity, own survival depends on what Dr. Bawumia did. So people may have issues. One constituency or another may have issues that people are now grabbing their constituency from them because of these particular actions. But you will need to live to fight another day. And that is what I think those people should be concerned about. All right.
We have Alexander. I have my own question. Is Bawumia influencing your national executives to break convention in his favor? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. Alexander from where are you calling us from? Medina. Okay.
I'm calling from Medina.
All right. Share your thoughts.
Yes, it looks as if we need to measure competence and quality of the individual first before there's emotional intelligence and other things. In the first place, Bawumia was brought in as economic measure. He failed woefully. And as of today, 6 months, the economy is now rebounding back. So it is obvious that Bawumia is not the best choice to rule the country.
Okay.
Secondly, as a leader, he should have been first be able to put all these people together, take commanding heights, and ensure that, yes, peace is restored. Whichever means that he will use, he should have been able to use it. As at now, still, there's cracks in the party. People are still bamboozling their way through. The principles of values and the core values of the party is still not there. These are the major things that we will expect a leader to do. And it is even going to be worse when the economy stays like this. Why would somebody bring somebody whose inflation was somewhere 54 when inflation now has come to 8? It is better they restructure the party, look through properly, and don't push people through.
All right.
That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much for calling. Case in point, the thank you tour didn't go as well as you'd hoped. And it was Dr. Bawumia who was leading this. So if he couldn't pull the party, the entire party, behind him, to rally behind him, to say thank you to the people of Ghana, that's the question the man is
so
asking.
the NDC, Dr. John Mahama oversight over a collapsed economy, banking sector collapsed, inflation was galloping, exchange rate was on a deep note, but still, he came back to power because there was something different in the offer. So that argument is a very dead argument. Two, Dr. Bawumia organized a very successful thank you tour. In fact, for the first time, he brought in every single of the content and said, let's go together and do the thank you tour. Usually it's Nana Akufo-Addo who go. Akufo did his own. But because
he infighting.
And because he wanted unity, that was what happened. But for some people, some aspirants turn into a campaign tour. And you know, when you are going as political rival and people are turning a thank you tour to a campaign tour, before you arrive at a venue, they would mass supporters with their paraphernalia and campaigning. That cannot actually proceed as such.
On that note, let's pick our last caller. Hi, good morning. You're live. Talk to us. Who's on the line? What's your name? Do we have our last caller, or we should move on from you quickly? Okay, tell us your name and your question. All right. I'm sorry, no more calls. That's all that time will allow for the calls. So this is where we are, Kojo.
Yeah, so, I mean, people like Kennedy Japan and Brian Achampon and all the those people who want to be elected as flag bearers believe that we're at a point where you need a certain kind of charismatic leader to lead your party. That they're at a point where they need someone who can challenge the NDC. And that person is not Dr. Bawumia. The Kennedy Japan group feels that he has what it takes, he's well-resourced, he's charismatic, and the grassroots love him. Aren't you threatened by that? To say that, so you think that having 60 MPs supporting him is enough a basis to say...
I think that the charisma of Dr. Bawumia is a basis for the overwhelming majority of members of parliament supporting him. When they see character, when they see competence, when they see charisma, they know. They can decipher.
How many people actually, I'm sorry to interject, that has come into another question. How many MPs actually visited Dr. Bawumia.
Those who visited Dr. Bawumia yesterday, from my count, are about 60.
60 members
60
of
members of parliament. There were some members who went after we had left. And I can mention him. John Jinapo went there after we had left.
Samuel Abu Jinapo, not John Jinapo.
Abu Jinapo went there before we had. A lot of people went even after because they had other engagement. There were some members of parliament who didn't. Gideon Boako was not there. This is someone who is pure in blood, pure in heart, pure in everything for Dr. Bawumia. Right? The fact that he was not there doesn't mean it doesn't, because he was indisposed. Right? So, from over 67 members of parliament have come out to say that we are for Dr. Bawumia. There are some people who are still, gauging to see what the mood of their constituents are going to be like. Okay.
But there are people who say, well, if you take 67 out of 275, there's still quite a large number of constituents.
We are talking of members of parliament.
But what is the strategy
also former members of parliament who are also, some of them are even meeting Dr. Bawumia. Is it today or tomorrow?
Okay.
There are people who are former members, former MMDC who are coming and expressing their support. They have party, and if you'll be surprised, when we hit the road, the caliber of people who are going to be the face of the campaign, you just have no doubt that this is what the party wants, right? So for me, the number is important. It's only when people start counting number, then you give your number, they say, oh, the number is not important. But the truth is that every single person in the NPP now, with the exception of those who still have their reasons not to believe in Dr. Bawumia leadership, think that he is the best for now. And I think that should be, we shouldn't even be having this discussion.
Okay.
You see, the reason why some of them are even supporting other candidates, they feel that Dr. Bawumia has so much goodwill that if they come to join Dr. Bawumia's queue, they may not have relevance in terms of for their own self, and they may not get appointment when the NPP is in power. Those are genuine concerns, but power is not about what you get. It's about who can serve the good people of Ghana, who can deliver the general good. For what I know, if the economy is good, if teachers are well paid, if nurses are well paid, journalists have better and protected working conditions, private sector is booming, every single person is going to be, irrespective of whether or not you hold a government position. And that should be the concern of everyone, not whether or not you are in the front row or in the back row of Dr. Bawumia's campaign.
Well, thank you for coming. That's all that time will allow us for this conversation. You've just heard from Dr. Tia Kabiru Mahama. He's Member of Parliament for Wale Wale, and we were discussing the race to lead the NPP into 2028 elections. But first, their primary is set for 31st January 2026. We also